Happy Worldwide Pinhole Photography Day. This happens every year, the last Sunday in April. And it's kind of a celebration of pinhole photography. There is a site called pinholeday.org that people from around the world, we all take a picture on this day and process it however we process it. Some of them are digitals, but what I do is film, so I have to get that all done. And then we have until the end of May to upload our contributions to the pool by the end of May. So I have been participating in Pinhole Day since 2006. I found my first ever contribution on Flickr. I had posted it on Flickr too, and I will insert it here. And I've been doing it every year since, so 20 years, except for I think 2008, because that's the year my dad had passed away right around that time. And then maybe 2013 when I was traveling back and forth between the Bay Area and here in Virginia, because I was figuring out relocation stuff. So today I am going to use two different pinhole cameras, because even though you only upload one photo to the gallery at pinholeday.org, I like to have like a lot of photos from Pinhole Day. And I am going to use the Ondu, which is new to me. A friend of mine gave it to me. And then my old Zero that I've had for at least 15 years. So a pinhole camera is essentially a box with a hole in it. Instead of a lens, it has a pinhole, because a teeny tiny pinhole, if light shines through it, it's the camera obscura effect, I guess. Light shines through it like if you were to darken a room and have a window on one side and a blank wall on the other, and you put a piece of black plastic on the window and you put like a hole about that big and turn off the lights, you would see coming in through that hole a picture of what you would see if you were looking out the window, and only it would be turned upside down. So when you have a pinhole camera, you have a light sensitive material inside whatever your camera is. It could be film, it could be photographic paper, it could be the sensor on your digital camera, and it will have the same effect. Through that teeny tiny hole will come this image, and because it's so tiny, it will actually be fairly sharp. It's remarkable, honestly. So this Ondu has, the frame size is 6x9, so this amount of area on the film will be available for the light to come in through the hole and for the picture to be made at the back side. I'm probably doing like kind of a not great job with explaining this, but if you look it up online, you'll find better, more clear explanations. I do have some other pinhole videos from way back, and you could look for those. Maybe I'll link them below. And then the other camera I'm going to use is my Zero that I've had for many years. And in this camera, you can have a frame size anywhere from 6x4.5, and these are centimeters, to 6x9, but I usually like to do a square format here. So these are 6x6. And in these cameras, I use 120 film, which is this size. I am going to put 200 speed film into the Ondu because I'm going to be using it outside. So I can have a little bit slower film in there, and the aperture of the pinhole is slightly larger than that of the Zero. And in the Zero, I'm going to be doing more of my pinholes, I think, in the house. So I'm going to be using 400 speed film. Like I said, if you have a digital SLR, you can get a pinhole cap for it. So you take off the lens and then you screw on the cap that has a little tiny pinhole. But if you're of a certain age, I think, although it didn't happen for me because I went to Catholic schools and we didn't have quite the same resources as public schools did, you might have had a photography class where you use an oatmeal can that you put photographic paper in. Well, I have used paint cans because when you buy the paint cans, they're already like a dark gray inside, which is great. And all you have to do is drill a teeny tiny hole in it, and that becomes your aperture, your lens in effect, and put photographic paper in there. If you use regular photographic paper, the kind that you would take into the darkroom to make an enlargement from a negative, you'll actually end up getting a negative image because that kind of paper is made to take light that shines through a negative and then turn it positive. I'm really making that brief because I'm not good at explaining the science. But you basically end up with a negative, right? That's out in front of my house. So you take the paper in a dark room. It doesn't have, I mean, you can make a dark room in your house if you have the space. So you take your photographic paper in a dark room under red light, you tuck it in your paint can, you put the lid on, you take your paint can to wherever you want to make your photograph, you set it down on something where it can be stable, you open it up, you know, you let the amount of time, it could be seconds, it could be minutes, usually minutes with paper. Paper takes longer to expose than film does. Cover it back up, take it into your dark room, process it through developer, stop, bath, and fixer, and you've got a paper negative. You can get paper. Harman, who is the same people that make Ilford film, make what they call direct to positive paper, so that you actually end up with a positive image. Let's see, like this one. I took this out front by my trees. And to show you the difference between negative paper, so this is the same image essentially as this one, only this is the negative paper. And you can, I think the direct positive paper is probably a little bit more expensive. You can just use regular photographic paper, and then if you have a scanner, flatbed scanner, you scan it and then you put it into some editing, whatever editing program you have, and you invert it, and then you have a digital image of it. Now I've been doing these since 2006. That's when Pinhole Day, I don't know if they started before that, but that's when I've been doing it since. But in 2007, I went to Monterey, and through the UC Santa Cruz extension, I guess, there was a pinhole workshop. So we had 2 days working with an artist, Martha Casanave, and her partner, and I can't remember his name right now. But I still have the workbook from there. And this is also where I learned how to do cyanotypes. So that was a very, very important workshop I went to. And I still have some of the paper negatives from that workshop that I made. That's me with my glasses with the Pacific Ocean out there. And I will put the inverted positives of these below. And then also this one, which was the side of the building with the shadows of the trees on it. But to give you an idea of what kind of images you make in the cameras, if you're using something like a paint can, you're always going to get that kind of rounded distortion because that's how the paper is sitting. But when you're using something like one of these cameras, you will get, you know, a more traditional look. So here is one picture I took at the VMFA, having a cocktail. I think one Valentine's Day I took myself out. But you can see the level of detail. There's still some motion blur in this because this exposure was probably a couple of minutes. But you can see, you can get really good, sharp detail, even with a pinhole. But I actually like blur, so I do make a lot of photographs like this one, where I purposely incorporate more motion blur to give that sense of movement and dreaminess. So right now, I am going to load my cameras. I am going to go around and take some photos. I may do some video of how I set things up to do some of them. And then I hope to process this film and then scan it so that I can insert some of those photos at the end of this video. Happy Pinhole Day! So here's an example of how I take a scene with the pinhole. There is no viewfinder, so it takes me a while to kind of get used to a camera to understand what will be in the frame, but this is fairly wide, so what I'm looking at here is I want to get in some of the curtain and then the garden out there. And it's glary, but it's fairly bright out. 200 speed film in this camera. I'm going to do maybe a shutter, or leave the shutter open for, I'm thinking about 20 seconds for this. So what I would do is this shutter goes up and it'll keep in place, but so I have my finger over the pinhole, the shutter, and so when I remove my finger, that's when I'm going to start counting my 20 seconds. And then I'll come back around, put my finger back over it, and close the shutter, and then I will advance my film. So just like you can take a scene that's further away, you can get in really close to things. So I have set up this little kind of still life. And again, I think I'm probably gonna do maybe 15 seconds here because the azalea blossoms that have fallen since our rain yesterday are kind of bright. So pile them up a little bit more here. Okay, so I am going to tip the shutter back like I did before. I'm going to make sure it's steady. See, it's shaking a little bit, and I'm going to remove my finger, and I'm going to count to 15. Finger back on it, shutter closed, and then I'm going to advance the film again. For this one, since it's breezy, I'm going to open the shutter for about 20 seconds, I think, because it's darker back here. And I'm going to catch the motion of the dogwood and the solidness of the oak behind it. So again, I'm just going to come around here, going to flip up this shutter, leave my finger on there and remove it. Close it back up. So now I'm inside, and I am going to take a pinhole of me sitting in front of the window there. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to flip up the shutter, leave my finger on it, and then I'm going to rush over to the other side of the room. Hang on, let me put you down here. And then I'm going to just sit there for probably, let's see, maybe 90 seconds, I think. So now I'm gonna show how I do some of my self-portraiture sort of things. And so I have the camera set up on a tripod in front of my little backdrop here. And I am going to put this, I think it's Ukrainian or Russian scarf, as my backdrop, as I have done with anything when I do self-portraiture or work that has to do with my ancestral background. This guy back up here like this. And then what I have here, you're not too wonky there, is I have this mask, if you will. This is my great-grandmother. And I will open the shutter and I will give myself about 30 seconds with this, and then I'm going to take it down and do another 30-ish seconds, I guess, with just my face. So it's essentially like a double exposure, but it's done all in one take, if you will, because of the timing of the exposure of the film. So here I go. I'm gonna push back the little cover for the pinhole. Then I'm gonna count here for 30. And I'm going to do this for about 30. And then very quickly, finger back over the shutter hole and close the cover. Right now I'm just messing around inside with some still lifes. So we'll see how this goes. So I processed my film. This is the set from the undo, and you can't see anything here. You're not gonna be able to see anything until I scan them. So I'm gonna let those dry for a couple of hours. Yes, not the best place to be drying my film. I know, but I haven't gotten my setup together. Anyway, I'm gonna let those dry for a couple of hours, and then I will come back and scan them. And then the end of this video will just be a little slideshow, I guess.